All right, everyone, welcome back. And today we're luckily joined by fifth-ranked Bellator featherweight Jeremy Kennedy, who's coming off a win, still a win last weekend against Aaron Pico. Jeremy, I know you've had a bit of a stressful morning. You said trying to rearrange flights and everything. So, how's your day been?
Yeah, it's just kind of everything came together today. You know, I got some dealing with my visa renewal here in the U.S. because I'm Canadian. So I got to figure out going back to Canada for that. And then I had a trip booked to Thailand for November, and the airline, I guess, made some changes, and I wasn't going to make my connection in Korea. So they were going to cancel the whole thing. And you know how dealing with airlines, you're on hold for like hours on end. So all day today, I've just been calling my management and flying back to Canada and figuring it out if I'm going to be ready to go to be able to fly to Thailand at the end of the month, and then if I even am flying to Thailand now. So it's just a bit of a gong show, but it's all sorted out now, and I was only 5 minutes late.
You're good, man.
You killed it.
You're good, man. You did well. Jeremy, something I did want to sort of start off with is I wanted to ask you, I'm sure you're aware, you probably saw Scott Coker's comments he made during the post-fight interview last weekend, and I know Coach Nixick wasn't too pleased with what Coker was saying. You know, saying that Pico was well on his way to a victory. Considering how the first round actually was going, I actually had you winning that first round. So with that being said, does that bother you at all? I mean, you seem like a pretty nice and calm guy. Does that bother you at all, or does it sort of fuel your motivation for the eventual rematch?
Yeah, I mean, like, it bugged me a little bit. I didn't. My wife was listening to the Scott Coker thing, and I was actually napping, and I heard him. And as I was kind of waking up, I heard like he was well on his way to winning. And I actually had to like get up, and I'm like, what are you listening to? It's comedy to me, honestly. Maybe he wasn't even really necessarily paying attention or watching or checking his investment. I don't know, just saying what he thought was good to say at the time. But I think even himself, anybody who watched that, I mean, obviously Aaron was compromised, but I don't think there was maybe 10 seconds in that round that he wasn't in a compromised position. You know, I kind of dominated that round. Again, like I said, I'm not boasting about it because he was hurt, but anybody watching that, even if you don't like MMA, there's zero chance that the guy that was, on the bottom was well on his way to winning, So it is what it is. Maybe he was just caught up in the moment, getting asked into questions and whatever. I mean, I didn't take it personally at all. The rest of the Bellator team and Mike Hogan, and he gave me my props. And it is what it is. Eric said what he said, and he voiced his opinions, and that's kind of as far as I took it. I didn't even think too much more into it. I'm like, it is. It is what it is. But Pico is the face of the division. He has been since they signed him at a big prospect, and that's the nature around him. Leading up the whole fight, leading up to it, I was kind of getting brushed under the rug. There were Pitbull's talking about fighting Pico next, and we hadn't even fought yet, so it was just kind of one of those things where I'm like, hey, at least this chapter's done. I didn't like the whole build up with the media and have the perception of, this is a walkover or whatever. And I'm just glad I showed up, fought hard, and showed exactly that wasn't the case,
Yeah, for sure. So is the victory bittersweet for you at all due to it being a doctor stoppage? Because I know that several fighters have spoken about the victory being bittersweet in the past when they've had similar situations. Or do you view it as a clear-cut victory and you just kind of want to move on with your career?
I mean, a little bit of both in the sense of it's bittersweet, because he was compromised. That's what caused the end of the fight. Although I saw the fight going my way and I felt really good in there, and I wanted, I was itching, I was dying for a second round. That's MMA, like things happen, injuries happen. It was in the heat of the fight. It was so it is bittersweet. Yes, it's an official win. I mean, I got my 2 checks. I'm happy with that, and injury free, and I'm ready to move forward though. So I know he's out. I'm not really even looking at that as a rematch. Down the line, of course, any of these guys, I see potential fighting. Even the guys I fought, Borix, everyone's still on the radar. If you got a number beside your name, but he's got surgery to deal with, and I'm looking to stay active. I'm looking at Pedro, the title shot. I got a lot of options now. My momentum's still high. 2-fight win streak. You can't you can't really look past that regardless. So again, not ideal, not the way anybody wants to win, but at the end of the day, securing 2 paychecks rather than one is my main goal, and that's what happened. So I'm just glad I'm injury free. You know, I didn't come up with anything, and I'm back in the gym already today training. You know, so I'm just itching to get back in there again, because I do kind of feel a little robbed of a fight. You know, one round isn't enough for 10 months off on the shelf. You know, so I'm just itching. I got that itch again. I got in the cage. I saw the crowd. I felt the nerves and the fight day and everything, and then for it to only go the one round and the way it went and then the way it ended, I'm just kind of like, okay, let's get this going again. You know, let's do it again.
I can imagine.
You know, so.
I can imagine. Jeremy, speaking on your next fight, like you said, you know, you're 10 months off now, and to, you know, sort of come back and at least you came out unscathed, you know, no injuries. So
yeah,
is there a sort of an immediate time frame that you'd like to return, you know, early next year, or is there a specific time you'd like to return, or would you prefer to just take a little bit of time off just to let your body recover after such a hard camp?
I mean, yeah, the recovery is pretty important, because I did put, you know, a full camp, and it was a hard one. You know, I trained really hard for this fight, but I'm looking to stay active. I know how this works. You know, that November card's full, that December card's pretty well full. They're not going to be trying to, you know, rush to book me on those. So I know I'm not fighting for the rest of the year anyways. But I mean, the January, whatever they have booked, then nothing's really been announced. Only thing that's announced is February, so I'm gunning for that because it's the only thing on the books. If something were to come up before that, 100%. But as of right now, like logistically, I'm focusing all my energy on trying to get booked for February. And Ollie, my manager, and Mike, the matchmaker, they both talk to me. They say they like the fight with Pedro, and it seems like that's the one that makes sense. Both of us are coming off wins in the top 5. Both of us probably need another win for a title shot. So it just makes sense that we can fight well. Probably AJ and Pitbull go for that trilogy, and then that timelines all work out. And so, you know, Pedro's from Ireland. They're going to want him on that card anyways. He just fought, you know, a week prior to me. It all makes sense. You know, the only thing that'll hold it back is that guy signing the contract. So
yeah, no, for sure. And that kind of leads into my next question. So assuming that Pico's out for a while with his injury, and clearly you see Pedro as giving you the quickest path to a title fight, if the match with Pedro were to go down, where do you think you can take advantage of in that fight?
You know, honestly, giving Pedro props, he's gritty. He just finds ways to win. I wouldn't say he's like particularly great anywhere. He's just, you know, he's in the fight though. His wins over Mads and Weichel show that he's dangerous from the first to the end. You know, like the whole fight, you got to be on your A game, and you got to come in shape, because he does. You know, and he's right in your face. He's a southpaw. He's a pretty big guy for the division. Striking's pretty good. Grappling's pretty decent. You know, so he's just decent and good everywhere. But I just think I'm a bit better everywhere. So I'm not necessarily like I have to go one route to beat him. I think I could beat him in all the facets of it. It's just a matter of what the fight brings at that time, you know. But I think, I just think I'm better than him everywhere personally. And but I'm not kind of taking anything away from him, because I knew he's ranked 3rd for a reason, and he's gotten some big wins. Even though, like I kind of counted him out on a couple of those fights, and he came through. So you got to have my respect as an athlete and as a competitor.
Yeah, 100%. Jeremy, you fought for the 3 top tier organizations, and if memory serves, I pretty much think you're one of the only fighters to have competed in UFC, Bellator, and the PFL. So when you look at each organization, there has been a murderer's row of competition in each. I mean, they're the top organizations for a reason. So, in your opinion, which organization have you had your toughest fight against, and who was that?
I mean, I think like credential-wise, Pico probably would have been up there, but obviously that fight didn't go the way it did. And then it's pretty hard to not put Volkanovski on that list. You know, I mean, at the time, I wasn't the fighter I was. You know, I was a young kid. I was early in my still training at like a small gym in my hometown and whatnot. And so a little bit different of where I was at, the most skilled competitive matchup. But overall, look where he's gone from me. He went on and fought Mendez and Aldo and Holloway and Elkins and whatever, you know, list goes on. And he's the pound for pound guy now. So it's pretty hard to say he he isn't that toughest fight, but I think the average, like the most consistent tough has been my little run here now in Bellator. You know, they've given me 3 top 5 opponents in a row. You know, I debuted against Bassett, and then right away I'm fighting Borix, Emmanuel Sanchez, Aaron Pico. Like those are 3 Bellator staples, and you know, back to back to back. So I think that consistency has been harder here in Bellator. And just the division itself is just everyone's older, everyone's stronger. I'm more mature, and just all around, it's just a tougher division for me right now.
Yeah, for sure. So look, Jeremy, we've been lucky enough to speak to quite a few of the athletes and coaches over at Extreme Couture MMA. And what's very evident is that it's a true team in the sense of everyone's willing to go to bat for each other and have each other's backs. How much of a sense of surety does it give you going into compete, knowing that you have a team that legitimately has your back? As we saw this past weekend with, you know, Eric Nixick kind of going off on Scott Coker a little bit for his comments on the fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the team environment that everyone should want, you know, especially when it's not just like a small hometown gym where everyone's like really tight knit. This is like a world-class, highest level gym where you got fighters from all over the world, all the different organizations spread across all the divisions, that it's not hard to find good bodies and then reliable, good training partners with really good coaches, you know. So that's what brought me out to Vegas, and that's what's kept me here for 5 years now. Moved my whole life from Canada up here, or down here, sorry. And yeah, no real plans on going back or leaving or doing anything else. You know, Thailand has been a thing that I've trained. I started my career out there. You know, I spent a year living in Thailand, and when I first turned pro, and then I've gone back and forth a few times. And I trained with Frank Hickman a lot. He was living in Vegas for a while, so I like that split. That's about the only kind of, you know, cross training I'll do, and it's nice to be able to, you know, get across the ocean to the other side of the world and train in a tropical place. And I think Vegas and Thailand are very, very similar in the sense of it's like a fight capital, you know, for that side of the world, you know, and it's very cheap to live, very cheap to get around, and community's huge. So those are kind of my two. Like I said, I'm going to Thailand at the end of this year, and I plan to keep that up for frequency, you know, for the next years or two.
Yeah. Jeremy, you were really coming into your prime of your career, I believe. You know, you've only just turned 30 a few weeks ago, September 16th, if memory serves. So happy birthday to you, man. But
thank you, I appreciate it.
Look, man, you've got a pretty impressive record with only 18-3. 3 of your losses, you know, 2 of them coming against the pound for pound goat in Volkanovski, and you know, a guy in Adam Boric who just fought for the title. So are you taking... I
avenged that other one too, Laurentino. I got him back a few months later.
Yeah, I saw that. But are you taking, you know, sort of a one fight at a time approach, or is the title in the forefront of your mind heading into each contest?
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, it's every fight is the next biggest fight, you know, and it all crashes down with a loss. So like, obviously the title I'm gunning for, but if I'm thinking too much about the title in my next fight and I lose my next fight, the title's gone anyways, and I got a long ass road to climb back, you know. So I literally just have to take it one fight at a time, one win at a time, and 2 paychecks at a time. That's the game plan, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, look, Jeremy, last question from us, because we know you're very busy and you got to go and wait on the phone to talk to some people at the airline. But look, how has the experience of your career been so far in a sport like mixed martial arts that is so full of ups and downs, not only in the training room, but also when you compete? Yeah,
I think it's kind of cool that I'm finally getting this like recognition. People are kind of looking at where I've been and where I fought and who I fought, and the consistency. For I think 2016 now is when I debuted in the UFC, and you know, 4 fights there, 3-1. You know, went through those, and then I fought in Brave just to stay busy. But that's you know, traveling to Morocco, Saudi Arabia, still against tough guys. Then, you know, doing a PFL tournament, you know, doing the full tournament, fighting twice in a night. You know, another big promotion. Going straight from them right into Bellator, my home now. You know, and fighting all the top guys there, consistency. And I just signed my that was the first fight on my new deal, which is cool. I've never had a second contract.
Congratulations, man.
So that was a huge one. When I signed the next 4-fight deal, that was a big step for me. And like, I want to be a staple in Bellator. I want to be the Emmanuel Sanchez's and, you know, the Aaron Picos, the guys who've been here forever and got lots of fights here. So I'm happy to be here, and it's just kind of cool to exactly like you said. I don't think many people have fought in all the different organizations, or more so had winning records in all the have been successful everywhere I've gone. So it's kind of cool. My record speaks for itself. 18-3. That's a lot of fights. I've been around and fought a lot of guys and been around the world, man. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do Ireland and get another one, another W.
100%. Yeah, no, for sure. Well, look, Jeremy, thank you very much for joining us today. We know you're incredibly busy sorting some stuff out, so we're going to let you go.
Yeah,
but man, it was great to talk to you, and we'd love to have you on again in future.
Oh man, yeah, anytime. Let me know.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you,
Have
Jeremy.
a good one, man.